The MK1-450 extruder for very hot flow is for exotic 1.75 millimeter filaments with service temperatures between 250 and 450 C. This includes polycarbonate, PEEK, Ultem, and carbon fiber. Today we're going to explain about the Hyrel3D MK1-450 printhead. This is for 1.75 millimeter filaments at between 250 and 450 degrees C. This is for Ultem, some polycarbonates, and also PEEK. The feed is the same as the MK1-250, so you'll have your pneumatic tube that goes into this pneumatic fitting, and just insert it to install it. Your filament would be inside, and push the blue collar down to release the tubing. Your actual filament will go in just like this, and just like on the MK1-250, this is the motor. The motor shaft is visible in here, and on the other side we have a pressure plate, keeps a spring, and a bearing assembly, so that on the two bearings keep the filament centered on the hob portion or toothed portion of the drive shaft, and also the appropriate amount of pressure. Where this differs, however, is that because we can go up to 450 degrees Celsius, we cannot have Teflon tubing all the way down. So there's only about maybe a centimeter of Teflon tubing. So here you go. This is the delivery shaft, and there's only about a centimeter, a little over half an inch of Teflon tubing in there. So we have to sacrifice that low friction delivery for the temperature, the amount of heat we can get to. So there's about 3 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters of stainless steel delivery before it goes into the brass nozzle. Now this would be a heater cartridge in here, and this is the part that gets hot, and this fan blows on these fins so that the heat doesn't travel up. Continuing down, your material goes through here, and this is insulated, so we have a shield to keep you from touching most of the hot part. Of course, the nozzle is always going to be exposed to some degree, and there's a non-flammable insulation in here to keep the heat in and keep the cold out. So this fan keeps these fins cool, so we want the heat at the bottom and not at the top. And then exiting beneath the shield is your nozzle, typical 0.5 millimeter nozzle. We are getting these made in tungsten also, if you want to use Ultem or carbon fiber materials so they don't wear out as fast. The fan here, again, this fan keeps the ribs cool for the filament delivery, and this fan, when properly positioned, will blow down here and cool off the material that's already been deposited. Here are the gibs, where you load the head into the yoke on the printer, your spacer board, to keep it from going too far. And if you need to make any adjustments, a 2.5 millimeter driver on these two screws will loosen it up and allow you to adjust everything up and down so everything's in the right position. This is the programming port, so we'll use that if you have to flash new firmware. You'll take your ST link, line it up properly, plug this into the USB port on the device you're running your software on, and flash the new firmware. The new firmware comes out usually about once a year. On top is your manual advance lever, so looking from the side you operate it from. If you move it to the left, it will retract material, and if you move it to the right, it will advance material. The LEDs on top, just like all of our other hothead and hotbed controller cards. We have the blue heartbeat. We have 3 yellow lights, which is CAN bus transmit, CAN bus receive, and error. We have 3 amber lights, power to the temperature, to the heat, power to the cooling fan, or the crosslink array, depending on your head, directional indicator for the motor, and power to the motor, so it's going forward or backward. The rest of these wires come down, so your 4 standard wires will go to power the motor. Your 2 sets of black and red wires power the 2 fans. Your silver or platinum colored wires are for the platinum RTD to bring back the temperature reading, and the big red wires are the heating element power. The only maintenance that should be required on this is just like the MK1-250, where occasionally if you're trying to go too fast for the temperature you're set to, you'll want to use a vacuum or positive pressure to get rid of any debris which might build up in the feed chamber if you're feeding too fast, and occasionally wire brush on the nozzle as needed. For more information, see us at Hyrel3D.com and Hyrel3D.net.